Hey guys, Harmeet here from Photo Insomnia. Welcome to this very first episode of the Leap Show. In this show I will share a complete edit from start to finish of one of my pictures. I'll give you a link to download that picture so you can edit along or create your own interpretation of it. If you do and you want to share, please put a link back to the image so I can check it out in the comments below. So let's get started. This picture that I took in New Zealand in Rotorua, and this is what they call like a thermal pool. I think this one is called champagne pool because the bubbles coming up from underneath the water make a bubbly sound, which is very much similar to a glass of champagne, hence the name champagne pool. So let's get started with this edit. This image was taken on a Canon 7D with a Tokina 11 to 16 mm lens, and I shot this at aperture 7.1 ISO 100. So when I start editing, the first thing I do is generally go in here and make sure my profile is set to something other than Adobe standard. So in this case it's already set to camera landscape. Let's try faithful. What does that look like? Not quite. I think landscape works best. Gives you a bit more contrast straight out of the raw image in the way it's being processed by the raw engine. So the first thing we want to do is maybe reduce some of these highlights and increase some of these shadows. As you can tell, the image wasn't taken at the very early hours of the morning. This is probably late morning, early noon, so the sun is quite harsh. So let's reduce the effects of the highlights. So that reduces that over here, bring some of the highlights back. I'm going to open up the shadows, which will open this whole area up. Gets a little bit brighter. And I'm also watching the histogram. See, at the moment there's a very little information on the edges of the histogram, so I'm going to stretch the image histogram out by moving the white point and the black point. To do this, I will hold the Alt I will hold the Alt key, and that makes the image black. Don't worry, nothing's happened here. And I keep moving the white slider until I see some white or some color appear in the image, right? The top right corner there. I'll let go, and that sets a white point, which means those pixels that were highlighted, they are now pure white. So I'm going to make sure they have some details by dragging the highlight slider back, so you can see the histogram has also moved to the right. Now the other thing I'm going to do is make sure we have a black point. So same thing, holding the Alt key down and moving this slider to the left, and we start to see some black over there on the left, top left side, and a bit to the top right side. I'll keep going a little bit. I want a lot of black in there. Needs to have contrast. This will create a lot of contrast in the image. So that's only just a few sliders here. So let's see what it was like before. I'll hit the backslash key, which is generally near just above the enter key on your keyboard. So I'll hit the backslash and we'll see the before. That's the before image. And let's see the after. And that is the final, so far, the edited version. The other thing I'm going to do is get some of this detail out. So to emphasize this, I'm going to use the clarity slider, and I'm going to push it quite a bit. You can start to see how the image starts to become crisper and sharper. So that's what the clarity slider does. Now to emphasize some of the colors there, I'm going to drag this vibrance slider over to give it a bit more vibrance, and that starts to look good. There is still a little bit of a problem on the left hand side. It still looks a bit too dark to me. Obviously because the sun is coming in from this side, and all of this steam that's coming up, it's creating like a dark shadow on this side. So I'm going to fix that by using a gradient tool. So in this case, let's reset it. You can just reset on the double click on the slider to reset it, or double hit the Alt key, and then you can hit reset here on the effect button. It turns into a reset button, hit reset, and it resets all the values. So what I'm going to do is just drag this slider along like this, at an angle though. Don't want to brighten this area up too much. So now I'm going to open up some of the shadows. You can see the results starting to already brighten up this area, and I'm going to increase the exposure on this side a little bit more as well. You see now we start to see the foliage of the trees, and it starts to look a little bit more balanced. Click done. So that's already much better than what we had before. Then I'm going to go and just increase the sharpness, because this is what we want. I'm holding the Alt key again just so I know how much sharpness I'm adding. It looks good. And then I'm going to mask it away. That means obviously these white soft areas and the clouds, we don't want these sharpened, because clouds aren't sharp. They are soft fluffy things. So I'm going to hold the Alt key again, drag the mask slider, and now what you see is only the white area is having the sharpness applied to it. Anything black doesn't have any sharpness applied to it. So that looks good. And I can start to see a little bit of noise up here, so I'm just going to drag a little bit of the noise reduction in there to improve the image. Finish off by creating a little vignette. Again, darken the edges and emphasize the center. Feather some of this off. Okay, so that was the file before and after. To finish it off, I'm going to add a little bit more contrast to the image, increase a little bit of the exposure, the overall exposure. The colors look nice. This color here is greenish, but it doesn't come up as green very much, so I'm going to use the hue saturation sliders here to increase some of that. So here is the green, but I'm not going to touch the hue. I'm just going to increase the saturation of the green a little bit more. That's cool. And then I'm going to brighten this green area by increasing the luminance. Now hopefully you can see that effect in the final in the video, but I'm going to turn it off so you can try and notice the difference. This is what it looks like before, and this is what it looks like after. It's not too much of a difference, but it improves it. I think I like the little bit of luminance here. The brightness has increased. That's what luminance is. And maybe I'll push the green a little bit more here. That's better. Touch more of the luminance, and that's the final edit. Alright, so there we have it. That's the final edit. Thanks for tuning in to this very first episode. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. If you haven't already subscribed, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Yeah, happy snapping and happy editing in the meantime. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.